Good morning, Truckee. And a fine morning it is. It was a short spring, but we're back into the snow time. Guess that's good. We're going to get a little more this week. I'm Jim Porter. I'm your host and MC. This is sponsored by the Truckee Chamber and Lynn Saunders to my left and Melissa Williams and their whole crew, and we appreciate that. I have Teddy Owens out here as my foil, so you'll hear from him later when you call in with your questions. If you'd like to get one of these face masks, they're very cool. More importantly, they're free. And it's a logo of historic Truckee snow scenes, and they're at the Welcome Center downtown. So I suggest you go down there and get one of those. I get them wholesale and then retail them out. Helps pay the rent. So we're back again virtually, as you well know, and you're on live stream channel 18 or Zoom, I hope, one of those. And these programs are going to be available for the month, so you can, if you're not listening now, you can listen later. Or if it's so good you want to hear it again, you can listen again and again. So let me introduce our sponsors. Tahoe Forest Health System, Porter Simon Dixon Realty, Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation, NV5, Auerbach Engineering, Tahoe Truckee Media, Sierra Sun Moonshine Inc., 101.5, Town of Truckee, and the Truckee Tahoe Airport District. So we'll skip over our committee members. You know who they are. We have a full program, so we're going to get started. So this is one of our most popular programs, and that is to introduce new folks in town. We have a lot of new folks in town, so we're not going there, but we have some new people on our town council, three new members. And I'll tell you, I thought about it driving in here today when I was following the 3 snowplows on the freeway where you can't get by, and me and 1,000 other people were coming in to a single lane at the truck station, but I'm not complaining. But we're here, and the words, I was thinking about how to describe these council members, and here we go. I actually wrote it down. They're unbelievably community-minded, totally dedicated to the community, very talented, they're experienced, they're hardworking. These people put in the hours, you have no idea. They're just what you want to have on a town council. So now I have a matter coming up tomorrow before you all. No, that's right. I don't do that anymore. So we have the 3 new council members. They're going to go in sequence, and then we'll take questions afterwards. So you can text your questions, I guess it is, and it should be on your screen, and I have a telephone number here, 412-3719, okay? So the first speaker is our vice mayor and high vote getter, Courtney Henderson. So that's cool. Then we go to Lindsay Romack. Oh, wait a minute. Romack. Would that be the famous radio personality Lindsay with an A? It would be. And then Jan Zabriskie, our vice mayor and former chair of the Planning Commission, and to his credit, a retired lawyer. So I'm hoping to step into his shoes in that regard. So, Courtney, why don't you go first? Take it away. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Courtney Henderson. It's a pleasure to be here today. I want to thank all of our sponsors for having us and just giving us the opportunity to talk with you all today.
Ready for help.
So, with that, let's move right in. I do have a few slides. A little bit about me. We were asked to just give a little bit of a background on us. So I grew up in upstate New York in the tiny rural town of Volusia. It's a population of less than 2,000 people. The picture that you see here is me when I was probably about 10 years old or so with my siblings. That was taken at my grandfather's farm. We grew up spending summers on the farm. It was a pretty idyllic Norman Rockwell type of childhood. And when you grow up in a place like this, you come away with certain values. And I want to talk a little bit about those. One is the value of community and our connection to it. Where I grew up, everyone knows everyone. Everyone helps each other out. And it's not because we have to, it's because we want to. We want to be there to support one another. One of the experiences that was probably most impactful for me when I was a teenager was related to our volunteer fire and rescue services. Those were completely volunteer driven. At age 16, I joined our ambulance service, became a certified first responder, and was on duty every month to answer 911 calls. I was one of those rare teenagers who was a bit reluctant to get my driver's license, so my parents would hang out with me on the weekends, and when the radio would go off and I'd get called in, they'd rush me down to the station. Growing up with that sense of community, with that sense of service is something that has really stuck with me my whole life. Another really important value to me is environmental stewardship and respect for the land. When you grow up in a place like this, the land really took care of us. It fed us. My backyard was apple orchards and potato fields. And there were a lot of small farms nearby, small dairy farms, fruit tree farms, and many more. So where does that leave me today? Well, I feel a really strong sense of connection to our community here in Truckee and to our land, our mountains, our rivers and lakes, and all of the things that they afford to us, from recreation, spending time with family and friends, beauty and solitude. And the other picture that you see up here was taken just a couple of weeks ago. In my free time, you can find me out backcountry skiing. Many of you might know that particular landscape. That's the top of Sunrise Bowl, looking out towards Downer Lake and the train tracks. So now, let's talk a little bit about community connectivity here in Truckee. So why is connectivity important, and why am I specifically going to talk about it in relation to infrastructure today? There are three key reasons. The first is that this is a council goal, and it's actually our only council goal that relates specifically to the core services and businesses that our town provides on a day-to-day basis. The second reason is that it's really timely. Our town is changing, it's growing, we have different demands on our infrastructure, and focusing on ways to use our infrastructure to connect our community is really critical right now. Third, promoting community connectivity through our infrastructure actually advances other council goals as well. Council goals related to environmental stewardship, reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, and also housing. When you look up community connectivity online, you get a whole host of different types of definitions. A lot of them focus specifically on transit or transit options. I view community connectivity really broadly, and I want to talk about some of the key benefits of a connected community. The first, a connected community encourages improvement and redevelopment while limiting our overall footprint. A connected community means that we have reduced vehicle trips and miles traveled so that we ultimately reduced our greenhouse gas emissions. It means that we're encouraging active, healthy lifestyles for our residents and promoting broader public health. It means we're reducing adverse environmental and health impacts associated with sprawl. Ultimately, I think that we need to be promoting projects that really have high levels of community connectivity. So with that, I'm going to highlight just a couple of key projects that the town is working on right now that really advances this specific goal. So the first is West River Street. I'm going to talk about that one pretty briefly because it's been to council several times, and for those of you who follow it, I don't want to inundate you with too much information on that one. I'm going to talk about the Trout Creek restoration and road extension through the rail yard. And then I also wanted to mention our new library. The second half of the discussion today is going to be devoted to the vision for a new library. What I want to say is that I really view our new library as an integral part of our community connectivity, a hub for everyone that provides equitable access to people in our community for education and learning opportunities, for socialization, youth classes, and so much more. So you'll get to hear much more about that during the second half of the discussion today. Let's talk a little bit about West River Street. You have two images here. The first, you can see that I've circled the future park site, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then also just kind of drawn in a line to orient you along West River Street. This project has a lot of different components that really advance our goals around community connectivity. So of course, probably the crown jewel is the future park site. And the image here is really the vision for what that is. It includes different seating and viewing areas, optimized pedestrian and bicycle access and connectivity, a future pedestrian bridge across the river to actually connect to the future legacy trail development and the extension of that trail. All kinds of native landscaping. So just imagine going to this park, biking or walking down, meeting your friends and family, kids running around everywhere. That's a vision of our community that I think we can all embrace. It also includes several streetscape improvements, so things like sidewalks to improve that pedestrian access, utility undergrounding, and enhanced parking options. If you think back to the benefits that I was just talking about, this really advances so many of them. That active, healthy lifestyle, getting us out of our cars to reduce our emissions, and just spending more time together, connected as a community. So this next project is the Trout Creek Restoration Project. And I want to thank Jen Calloway for getting me the image for this to share with you all today. I want to orient you to this a little bit. Within the red is the project site itself. You can see the balloon track within the rail yard. The yellow is coming out of the balloon track is part of this project. That's going to be an extension of Church Street out of that balloon track. The project includes a bridge over Trout Creek itself and a roundabout at the intersection of Church Street and Glenshire Drive. It also includes significant restoration work of the creek itself. So this project is really exciting to me because it includes, improved traffic flow. It includes restoration of the creek, so things like improved water quality, and also just the aesthetic value to that area of town, and really sort of beautifying that landscape and having sort of the creek as a resource itself. Those are a couple of projects that I wanted to focus on today and just give you a little bit of insight into. We don't have too much time today, but I'm happy to talk about them more with anyone who wants to in the future. So where does that leave us? Well, in terms of council goals come back to council on March 23rd, so in just 2 weeks. This is the way that our council envisioned this goal during our 2-day goal setting session. It's to invest in key infrastructure and community connectivity, including the new library, bike trails, and transit alternatives. And I hope you'll all agree that all 3 of these projects are examples of moving us towards that specific goal, to making our community more connected in so many different ways. So with that, I'd love to hear from you. One of my favorite parts of this role is getting to talk with our community, getting to hear diverse perspectives. If you want to talk more about any of these projects or anything in general that's top of mind, I hope you'll reach out. Thank you so much.
Who's next? It's Lindsay with an A, right? Yeah, there she is. She's getting geared up, wiping down all the gear. We're very safe here, very safe.
Thank you. All right. Sorry, I'm a little short. Got to get situated. And I've never sat behind here before. Thank you very much. My name's Lindsay Romack, as Jim alluded to already. You may know me also as Lindsay with an A from 101.5 Truckee Tahoe Radio. I'm excited to talk with you this morning. Excuse me. A little bit about myself, as Courtney did, and then go into another very important topic for our community and a priority for town council, and that is housing. So first, a little bit about me. And I think when you live in Truckee, you have to have obligatory outdoor photos, as Courtney did as well. So there's a few photos of me enjoying some of the things I love: backpacking, snowboarding, and talking on a microphone. So a little bit about me is I came to Truckee about 16 and a half years ago, and I figured, I'm going to come be a ski bum for a season or two, move on to something else. A few wise people told me that if you stay for a summer, you're never going to leave. And they were correct, because now 16 and a half years later, I am still here. And I'm very glad that I found Truckee as my home. So besides the great outdoors, I love getting involved in the community. As I mentioned, I was on 101.5 Truckee Tahoe Radio. That was the first opportunity for me to really get to know the community, understand the strong values and the importance of community connectiveness, as Courtney talked about, and just really get involved. And besides talking on a microphone, after I left Truckee Tahoe Radio, I also now currently work at Placer County for the District 5 supervisor, currently Cindy Gustafson. And that was a great opportunity for me to really start to get to know local government and understand how important local government is in our day-to-day life and how we can make an impact in our community. And that was one of the reasons I decided to run for town council. So now I have to show you an adorable photo of my son. I have an 8-month-old son, Finn, and also a picture there of my partner, Corey, and I with him, because we are very excited to be raising him here in Truckee. It's got to be the best place to grow up because you can go cross-country skiing in your neighborhood on a snow day with your dad when you're 8 months old. So I'm very excited to be bringing him into this world and to be helping make Truckee such a wonderful community. But enough about me. Let's talk about housing. So housing, we know, is a very important issue right now in Truckee. And kind of as Courtney touched on, it's one of these components that really fits into a lot of things because having our local workforce live here leads to a stronger community, a healthier environment with lower GHGs and other environmental perks, as well as a vibrant local economy because we can support our local businesses. So it is imperative that we work hard to keep our local workforce in our community. And on this slide, I have a few pictures of some houses and some apartments and condos here in Truckee. A few of them are actually places that I've lived in because I went back and calculated in the 16 and a half years that I've lived here, I've lived in 11 different houses with 17 different roommates and I think 5 different dogs. So I understand some of the challenges. Thank you. It's for the dogs, I think Jim was clapping for. But I understand a lot of the challenges that we face and we continue to see those challenges grow. And you know, housing is a priority for our town council this year, but it's been a priority for the town for a while. In fact, in the last 15 years, the town has deed restricted 427 units and has helped 58 people be able to purchase homes through the down payment assistance program. But since the town council has really made housing a bigger priority, in 2019, town council allocated additional resources and staff to create a housing division, and then town council, we continue to prioritize housing. This allows the town to be even more proactive instead of just reactive. So this next slide, I want to thank Shauna Doherty, our housing coordinator with the town of Truckee. And it really speaks to, as we all know, there's no silver bullet. There's not one solution that we're going to be able to do and house all of our local workforce. So partnerships are incredibly important. Working with Placer County, Nevada County, the Mountain Housing Council, the school district, the hospital district, Contractors Association to really work together to come up with solutions. Then you have programs as well. Measure K was passed in November overwhelmingly by the voters, and this gives us some funding to be able to really look at innovative programs like the long-term rental grant program and the ADU program, which I will speak to in a moment. And then funding. I mentioned Measure K, which is fantastic because it is a local source controlled by us here locally, but we also get federal, state grants, and other resources that we can. And then finally, policies is on there as well. There are many policies that Truckee has in place already to create affordable housing, including the inclusionary housing policy, density bonus, and workforce housing ordinance that requires housing in commercial projects. So now I just wanted to briefly speak to a few of the projects that are going to be coming online this year, which is very exciting. All these projects are under construction now. The Truckee Artist Lofts, they just finished their pre-application process and received 122 applications for 76 units. That is expected to be open this spring. Frischman Hollow 2 and Coldstream Commons are expected to be completed later this year. That's 192 new affordable units available to our community this year, which I think is very exciting. But besides just building new units like that, we also want to look to our already existing neighborhoods. Again, this speaks to a healthy environment. If we can put people where we already live, that's going to help. And so one of the ways we do that is accessory dwelling units. The town started an ADU program to help people work through the process of how to build and permit ADUs. And Just in January, our town council approved a new incentive program with grants and loans to help incentivize folks to build new units on their property, or if you already have a unit on your property that maybe is unpermitted, this will allow you to more easily bring it into compliance. And the goal is to have 25 new permits this year, 9 of them deed restricted, and I think we're well on our way already. And if you are interested in being part of the solution and creating an ADU on your property, there's a free webinar this Thursday from noon to 1, and the town will be putting that on. Great opportunity to learn more. And then our long-term rental grant program. This is a really cool, innovative program to incentivize homeowners to rent long-term. So maybe it's property owners that normally would short-term rent their property. This way we're encouraging them, hey, let's house our local workforce. Folks that are interested can rent their home for a 12-month period to a local who works within the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District boundaries, and has to make 120% of area median income or below, which right now for one person is about $77,000. Currently, there are 12 properties that are already rented in the program, 3 more coming online soon, which is fantastic, and our goal is 25 by the end of June. And again, if you're a homeowner who's not using their property and you'd like to learn more, we'd love to talk to you. And if you would like to learn more, you can visit the Town of Truckee's housing page. It's got a lot of great resources about the accessory dwelling program, about the long-term rental grant program, some of these other projects as well. It's a very exciting time. I'm very excited to be a part of this town council. Again, that we're putting housing as a priority, and I think we're going to come up with some even more great ideas in the years to come. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I appreciate talking with you and hearing what questions you might have.
All right, we will hold those questions. Lindsay with an A's mom is Sharon Romack, who's the head of Sierra Senior Services. So the community mindedness runs in the family. And I have to stand corrected. I seldom make mistakes, but Lynn miswrote my script, so certainly it wasn't my fault. But Jan is not yet vice mayor. Courtney is. I introduced her as vice mayor. You can't have two, so she's vice mayor. Our last speaker is Jan Zabriskie, and take it away, Jan. Thank you.
I want to thank the Chamber for giving us this opportunity to speak. After listening to Courtney and Lindsay, I'm reminded of what an honor it is to be serving on the council with them. I want to share some personal background with you and then describe the importance and status of the update to our town's long-term general plan. I was born and raised the third of 4 boys in Southern California. I first saw this part of the Sierra Nevada when I started going to a summer camp at Sawmill Lake, which is just over the mountain from here. My first impression of Truckee is from the mid-1950s. It was the view of Donner Lake and then the town as my father drove us down the highway from the pass. It is the tall chimney, billowing smoke from a sawmill in town that still stands out in my mind's eye. After high school, I spent summers fighting forest fires for the state and the mountains north of here in Butte County. After college, I joined the Peace Corps and worked with subsistence farmers to increase their cattle production in a river valley in Colombia. Upon returning to California, I worked for 8 years as a desert botanist at a University of California Desert Field Station. I obtained a graduate degree in biology and then went to law school in Sacramento. My first law job was as a legal advisor to the Nevada Public Service Commission, where I worked primarily on energy regulation and telephone deregulation. I returned to California, married my wife Louise, and started working in complex business litigation out of my firm's office in Sacramento. I was primarily representing land developers and home builders, along with farmers and other businesses. I eventually left private practice, became Deputy Attorney General for the state, where I started out prosecuting cases of fraud on the government. I finished my legal career representing natural resource agencies, including the one I had fought fires for 4 decades before. One of my last cases, which I continued working on after moving here 10 years ago, was obtaining approval of the Truckee River operating agreement, which has strengthened environmental protection of our local reservoirs and riparian systems. I ran for town council after having provided pro bono legal services for clients of the Sierra Community House, volunteering with the Truckee River Watershed Council, serving on the Planning Commission and the General Plan Advisory Committee, and most importantly, after seeing how passionate and committed the members of Truckee are to our natural environment and our community. So I share these experiences to help you understand what motivates me as a member of our council. Now I would like to turn to the town's general plan update so you can appreciate how important it is and how important your involvement in this planning is for our future. The town's general plan is a long-range plan that guides the decisions of the town's planning commission, the council, and the town staff over the long term. Our current plan was adopted in 2006. It's set to expire in 2025. Town government and a general plan advisory committee made up of about 18 of our residents have been working on the current update since 2018. We hope to have the update take effect by 2022, sometime in that year. The update will guide town government decisions through 2040. The elements of the plan indicate its scope. The first element is land use, which includes a map showing where different types of residential, commercial, and industrial development will be allowed to occur, and in what densities and intensities. The other elements are community character, circulation, economic development, air quality, conservation and open space, noise, environmental justice, and safety. In conjunction with the general plan update, we will create a climate action plan. The plan is directed at assuring that the town does its fair share to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in accord with state and local goals and laws. As a practical and jurisdictional matter, the town is better than the state in using land use and building policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. While these elements appear as discrete chapters in the plan, they are interconnected and they affect one another. For example, higher density infill housing could serve to simultaneously lower new housing prices, lessen greenhouse gas emissions, reduce traffic, and help stabilize our employment base. Depending on how well the details are planned out, we can avoid exacerbating immediate congestion, blocking scenery, or increasing noise. Now, why should any of you get involved in what you elected the town council to take care of? Well, first, if you have ever encountered traffic in Truckee, experienced a population explosion or economic recession, or worried about wildfire safety, you should be interested in what the town plans to do about these issues through long-range planning. Second, you are giving the town council too much credit if you think we can come up with the best answers without your input. Even when dealing with the council, more heads are better than one or even 5. So how can you get involved? You can begin by exploring the general plan website. It's called Truckee 2040. It provides both an overview and documents on what has been accomplished so far. And then you can watch tonight's town council meeting. Staff will be presenting the council a report on the general plan update at the meeting. I'm guessing we'll get to it, I hope, by 6 o'clock. And then you can join the GPAC committee on March 26 in a Zoom that'll last from 3:30 to about 6. Staff and the plans consultant will unveil a new proposed land use plan at the meeting. That's perfect timing for you to see what's on the table and start sharing your insights. GPAC meets on the fourth Thursday of every month at 3:30. Please, I hope to see you participate. Finally, you can always ask me about the process, about the long-range plan. I will try not to bore you. It really is interesting. So thank you to the Chamber for inviting me, Courtney, and Lindsay to speak this morning. It's a pleasure to see you virtually and speak with you. Thanks.
All right, thank you to all three of our speakers. And guess what? These are professionals. They stay within their time limits, and I very much appreciate that. You have no idea, especially with Zooming, and I can't tell somebody out there that's speaking that's going on and on and on. I'm going like this, and it doesn't work. So thank you very much. We have time for questions. Teddy?
Would you guys like a softball question, or do you want me to start off with a real
Hardball.
hardball?
Hardball.
Hardball. Okay, I'm not going to do it. Each of you is fairly new to the council. Is there anything that has surprised you or something that you did not anticipate? Let's start with Lindsay.
Anything surprise me or not anticipate? You know, to be honest, I'm trying to think. You're making me think this early, Ted. I haven't finished my first coffee yet.
Wait till the next question.
Okay. This is the softball? No. Something that's just been really fantastic is the staff and how engaged they are, how much knowledge they have, how willing they are to work with all of us. I know talking to some Councilmember Pallavi, he said, I text some of them in the middle of the night and they'll get back to me when I first came on board. And I haven't done that yet, but it's just been really great how much they are here to help us and get us up to speed since we do have a fairly new council.
I would say nothing totally surprising, but similar to Lindsay, I'm astounded and amazed at how engaged our community is as well. I mean, we saw this particularly throughout the past 12 to 18 months, just engagement ticking up. And, I think our local government really works best when our whole community is really engaged. And it's been great to see all of the public comments in by email, text, by phone, to have a lot of conversations with constituents. I think all of us can probably say, we did a lot of that during campaigning, and that hasn't lessened up, and that has been hugely rewarding.
I have to say the biggest surprise for me actually has been the one-on-one communication I've had with our new town manager.
It's very direct. Okay, I've got one. What plans does the town have to handle the summer crowds this year? Who would like to start? We'll start with Jan.
Oh, I think our town manager will be able to describe those for you.
He's already learning.
That was a very nice pass. That was a very nice pass. Anyone?
I'll jump in. I know that town staff, again, has been doing a lot. Our Keep Truckee Green staff last summer was really seeing a lot of the issues related to trash. And that's kind of with a lot of extra tourists in town and maybe tourists who don't know how to visit in a natural environment. But I know they did a lot of programs, started a volunteer trash pickup program that's going on now to get people helping in our community. Also increasing the sizes of some of the garbage cans in downtown Truckee, and I believe they're compostable as well. So that's one of the ways to deal with some of the impacts of tourism. I will say, we're created as a tourism community, so we want to make sure that we are being smart and coming up with ways to mitigate the impacts. And I'll just leave it at that. Go ahead, Courtney.
Okay, thank you. I would say that also just our general community outreach, sort of marketing, education outreach efforts have also really ramped up. And that's from the town, that's from the chamber, that's focusing on Truckee as, a destination, but also encouraging people to be really good stewards of tourism and engaging with our community. And I am really hopeful that those will have real and immediate benefits this year. Is this summer going to look totally different than next summer or last summer, excuse me? No, probably not. But I think we all have to kind of step up and do our part, make sure that we are the welcoming community that I think we all think of ourselves as, and making sure that we're educating our tourists as well about the Truckee way and the Truckee lifestyle.
Okay, we have time for one more, Jim?
One more.
Okay, one more. We'll go real quickly. With the new low-income housing units coming available, are people who live here already or have proof of jobs in Truckee given priority? And why don't we start with Courtney in the middle, go to Jan, and then Lindsay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would actually love Lindsay to weigh in on this one and sort of lead this one because her expertise really is around housing. There's a lot of work being done, and Lindsay already alluded to it, to make sure that our local residents are being given priority. But I'll let you talk about some of the specific mechanisms if you're okay with that.
Definitely. So the Truckee Artist Lofts, as I mentioned, there was a pre-application process. So that is folks that live and work in our community. For some of our different housing projects, our different programs, there are many different opportunities to house various types of our local workforce. So again, they are really intended to house, yes, the people that already live and work here and work some of our very important jobs. I will also speak to the 3 housing projects I mentioned. Those are all for folks making 80% of area median income or lower. So that is, I believe, $68,000 for a family of 4. So those are really created for our local workforce that needs affordable housing.
Sorry.
Yeah, Coburn Crossing was a brand new experiment for the town. It showed the town leadership in establishing that as workforce housing. So in a sense, that's a town limited program. The others, Hennis Flats, Frischman Hollow, the Sierra Apartments, Truckee Pines, those are low-income tax credit housing, and those are federal government programs that provide subsidies to induce special developers who specialize in those kinds of projects to build them. And so the laws regulating those are largely federal and state as opposed to Coburn's workforce housing.
All right. So let's do a thumbs up for our 3 new council members. Great job. You got right in there and powered right through, and you're still powering through. So now, let's shift gears.
They need to get up there.
We're going to shift gears and physically shift gears as well and change seats. So in the meantime, I will start introducing our next presenters who are, I'll paint the picture here. They're walking quietly and softly up to the dais. No one is touching anybody else. We're staying socially distant. Kathleen Egan is particularly familiar with the seats and apparently is insisting on seating in the mayor's seat. Of course, we all know she's our first mayor and probably our most popular and well-liked citizen. I'll get that out. And I don't even need any favors from Kathleen. So, but I will tell you a story I've probably told you already, that the day that the town voted for incorporation and elected Kathleen as the mayor, we all convened for the first time around a small table at Donner Lake. There are about 15 of us. And Kathleen says, in my mind, infamously, she says, "Well, now what do we do?" Yeah, so they rolled up their sleeves, and here we are. So, so we're going to hear a presentation now on our new Truckee Library. And let me tell you, this is no Leave It to Beaver old school library, the kind that, where you work with in the back room quietly and whisper and everything. This thing is powerful. It's got a lot going on. It's a community center, and you're going to hear more about it. And when these folks, our presenters, get done, I hope you'll reach into your wallets and spring some dollars. So our speakers are Louise Zabriskie, and yes, I told you the family is very dedicated to the community, both Louise and Jan. And then Kathleen Egan, why don't you, and they're from Truckee Friends of the Library. It's all yours. Luis, this is why I wear that, because I have a hearing aid. I do the same thing, falls off every single time. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us here this morning. My name is Louise Zabriskie. I'm president of the Friends of the Truckee Library, and with me is board member Kathleen Egan. And we are very excited to share our Library Up campaign with you. Why a new state-of-the-art, spacious library is essential to the civic health and well-being of our vibrant community. We hope that you'll be as inspired as we are about a new library for Truckee.
To me, a library, I've always thought of it as really a pillar of civilization. It is such a foundational civic presence in really any community. It's a place of learning, it's a place of knowledge, it's a place of culture, it's a place of community. It's not just about books on a shelf. It really encompasses who we are and what we are as a civilization.
We provide free, equal, and equitable access to all members of the community, regardless of who they are or where they come from. I think one of the most interesting things that we're seeing here at the Truckee Library is just the number of people who come into our building every day. Last year, we added about 1,000 new patrons. One of the areas that we are a little bit limited by is by the space that we have to offer programs.
Well, I think our library staff does an amazing job with the facility that we currently have. And I think, having the ability to accommodate more students, more adults, the space available that would be for online, for additional print materials, I think all of those things would be possible in a new, larger, state-of-the-art library.
I was just really surprised at the size of the town and how much the town has grown in the 20 years since I've been living here and left and came back, to see no growth in the library.
Our current library in Truckee was built in 1975 when the population was about 2,000. It is just under 5,000 square feet, and now our community serves over 17,000 people, and we should have a library that's 4 times the size. Truckee deserves a library with a physical infrastructure that's just as amazing as what's happening inside of it. And we need to foster that potential for growth of programs, resources, inventory for our growing community.
Part of the process of designing and planning for a new library is going to be engagement with the community to understand what the community expects, what the community wants. And then with that input, we'll know exactly what we need to incorporate, what needs to be incorporated into the library.
The ability to meet at the library and have a space where students can explore and learn and create outside of the classroom.
In a new library, I would like to see just a hangout area, a place to do homework.
I can see a new library as being a place where we meet and we share and we inspire each other.
I would really like to have a filming room because I want to learn how to film.
We need a modern library. We need a library that shows possibility, and we need a place where people can have access to resources.
Just more programming. The capacity to have more programming for kids especially, I think, would be really wonderful.
Well, mostly all the fish books are my favorite books.
A library for a community can really say a lot about what it values. The love of learning, inspiration, a warm and welcome place to be for all ages. Flexible room configurations or even flexible furniture, group meetings, interactions, story times, virtual reality. There are so many options that I think could be possible with a new space.
We are ready for this library. Our community wants this library. Our community deserves this library, and now's the time.
All right, our library was built in 1976 when we had a population of about 2,000 people. We clearly have grown, yet we still have a small 4,600 square foot library. To gain a better understanding of our needs, the Friends hired a library consultant in 2016. She stated we would need a 20,000 square foot library to meet modern day standards for a community of our size and demographics. We don't begin to have a space to meet our community's needs for services and programming. We need a welcoming place to gather and explore, to share and connect. Modern libraries truly build community. We need a new library now. So what are other small towns doing? 2 years ago, Half Moon Bay built a 22,000 square foot library. That's in a town smaller than Truckee. It's a welcoming, inviting, it draws people in. You can just imagine being in this library, this building. Steamboat Springs, a mountain community, tourist community just like Truckee with a population under 14,000, has a 35,000 square foot library. When this library was built, it truly transformed the community. Everyone wanted to be in that building. They have up to 1,000 patrons a day using that library on average. Modern libraries truly are vibrant hubs of activity in communities. These are just two examples that help us imagine the possibilities for Truckee.
Our children need an exciting, engaging place for the array of programs that are offered, but where no one will be turned away due to lack of space. We don't want our teens to age out of our library. Teens need a designated area that provide places to study, collaborate on projects, or maybe just hang out with their friends. Today's libraries build the very social fabric of communities by providing places for people to meet in groups both large and small. We need space for computers, for research, study, and classes. We need the capacity for new cutting-edge technology, broadband, and training for all who seek it. And it's all free. A significant portion of our community earn less than $35,000 a year. Libraries today, more than ever, are essential institutions as they provide free, inclusive spaces for all members of our community. This really is an equity issue.
Our Chamber of Commerce refers to growing our own as providing opportunities for locals to thrive in the place they love. Some of our special districts see this new facility as an ideal central location for job promotion with adequate space for job training and certification classes. We are really making progress in this effort. We have secured a 2-acre site at Regional Park for the new library, and conceptual design work is underway. We will soon be able to share that with you. We're very excited about it. We want you to know, too, that community input has played an essential role in developing this initial design.
Community support is growing for a new spacious library. Many are demonstrating their commitment to this new facility by donating $1,000 to become a library up luminary. To date, we have over 90 individuals and families who have made this investment. Money raised from this program is earmarked to help startup development costs. But more importantly, the luminaries dramatically demonstrate to elected officials and future very large donors and grantors that this community is serious about and invested in wanting a new library. I'd like to make a special thank you to our partners and supporters. And to learn more about our new library plans and the Luminary program, please go to our website at truckeefol.org. Again, truckeefol.org. And also, if you were not able to hear that video, you also can see it again on our website and listen to the script if you could not hear it. Also, sign up for our monthly newsletter and keep up to date on our Library Up campaign and how you can help. Thank you again for joining us this morning, and let's see if there's any time for questions.
No questions? Oh, I thought you said no to questions. Just two. Number one, what is the funding plan?
That's a very good question. We figure there are going to be three primary funding sources. One, we hope, will be the county. Partial funding you'll see for the startup development. Oh, sorry. I'm just so used to wearing it. Startup development costs would come from the luminaries, but the big chunk will probably come from a capital campaign. We fully expect to have a capital campaign, and in all honesty, we probably will be going to the voters to have their approval of a parcel charge of some sort. Santa Cruz County is we find that this is what's happening with regard to developing new libraries throughout the state. Santa Cruz County is a great example. They not only have a quarter-cent sales tax, such as Nevada County does in order to fund their library system, but they also have a parcel charge that's funding two brand new libraries, one in Capitola and one in Aptos. So we're probably looking at that type of situation for the primary funding sources.
Thank you. And one more. This one's interesting. 20,000 square feet is what you're planning to meet the current need, is what was heard. Will this be designed in a way to lend itself for expansion to meet future needs so we don't repeat the same mistake we made with the first library?
We've talked a lot to I would say the answer to that is yes, we have an interest in doing it that way. The conceptual design that's currently underway is really a conceptual design. It's designed to help the community start envisioning what this new library could look like. After that, there will be an architect ultimately who is hired to do the final design. And that's where those serious conversations will actually occur. That would be my hope, because that's exactly what we need to do. But it's going to be a challenge, I'll have to say, because the site is only 2 acres. So it probably means it's going to have to go up.
Okay.
And I'd like to add that one of the things that's so important when designing libraries today is to do so with flexibility, because thinking about how our tech needs and things have changed in the last 10 years, we don't even know what that is going to look like in 10 more years. So the one thing that is very important is that you have the flexibility to adapt with the changing times and be able to meet the needs that arise in the community. So I think all those things need to be taken into consideration. And of course, the other thing we really think a lot about is definitely a sustainable green building. So that's very important also in the future.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Kath and Louisa. And I can just say you're on to something. We definitely need this, desperately need this library, and we've got the right people leading the charge. So we'll stay in touch. Now we do stump speeches and people that have announcements to make, and maybe we're getting back on track to having a meeting once in a while. So, Lynn, what do we have?
Thanks, Jim. I actually have 4 stump speeches. First one, Rotary Crab and Pasta Feed is March 20th. You can get tickets at truckeerotary.com. It's virtual, 4 to 6 p.m. You pick up your dinner. 7 p.m. there's going to be some virtual fun. Silent auction items include things like scenic flight over Tahoe with Hardy Bullock, Monterey Golf Experience. Elements Mountain Company is donating $500 toward any of their services and much more. And all the proceeds from the silent auction support the construction of the Truckee Downtown Park project that's expected to break ground this spring. Second one is the North Lake Tahoe Truckee Leadership Program. We are offering 4 free webinars starting this Thursday and every Thursday for the next few weeks. First one, as I say, is this Thursday, March 11th. And while we're getting great Participation, it is not quite sold out, so if you're interested, sign up soon. It's leadership, values, and purpose. Other topics we're doing is managing in these changing times, remote and hybrid team meeting revamp, introverts and extroverts as leaders. So if you're interested in registering, it's TahoeTruckeeLeadership.com/calendar. Third one is Moonshine Inc. is hosting their virtual Tahoe Talks event. If not tourism, then what? It's April 5th at 1 p.m., discussing the shifting our economy, economic diversification, and evolution of tourism. Some of the panelists are Andy Chapman from North Lake Tahoe Convention and Visitor Bureau, myself representing the Truckee Chamber, Colleen Dalton, Visit Truckee Tahoe, Kristen York, Sierra Business Council, and several others. To sign up, visit moonshineinc.com/Tahoe-talks. The last one, Truckee Chamber is reaching out to new residents, and we're conducting some focus groups throughout March. We want to learn more about our new residents and help them engage and connect in the community. So if you're a new resident or you know somebody who is, that would be good to participate in this. And you want to know more, email Lynn, Lynn, @truckee.com.
And you would be Lynn. That's right. All right. So if you have announcements to serve up for next month, it's lynn@truckee.com. Now it's raffle time. So get your raffle tickets out. Check them. Make sure you got the right numbers. And I'm not quite sure how this is going to be done, but Lynn tells me everything. She's in charge here. And we're going to rotate this, but today the people that are on Zoom are somehow automatically going to be in the raffle. So the rest of you, sorry, maybe next month. And then Lynn will, again, mysteriously pull your name or something and give it to me and I'll read it, or something like that. So we have 3 items, and the first is this very cool
slightly used hat.
Slightly used. Oh, it's a big truck Donner Lake hat. Very cool. And this was donated by Heidi Doyle, who's Sierra Senior Parks.
She wins it. She's not donating.
Oh, she's out. Okay.
She wins it.
She wins it. Oh, Heidi Doyle, my friend. So she's head of the Sierra State Parks. She's the person that every year at Christmas time wears an ugly sweater that she buys for about 10 cents and then sells it to me for $100 to donate to her Sierra Parks Foundation. So it's a great scam on her part. And if you want to buy one, I'm sure she'll sell them to you for $100. Okay. Oh, okay, I know the next winner. So the next one, the winner of $10 at Wild Cherries is one of our favorites, Phyllis McCon. Phyllis. Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation. Married to Rick McCon. Yeah, great guy. And number 3 is a $10 certificate for the station, which is, it's near where? It's on West River Street. Yeah, I don't think I've been there. And this is Deirdre Henderson, who's Courtney's mother-in-law. So, or does she win it? God, I got it all backwards. I thought these were the donors. So we're going in-house here, Courtney. Your mother-in-law just won this. So there you go. You have to report that. Yeah, you have to report all of this. Is that $99 or less? So I think that's it. Thank you very much. We know you have other things to do in the morning, and we appreciate you being here. We'll see you next second Tuesday. Bye-bye.